Navy lieutenant stops veteran from boarding the ship until the admiral orders him brought back. Asterisk, asterisk, the sun scorched the deck as Navy Lieutenant Harris stepped forward, his voice sharp, his arms stretched out like a barrier. You don't belong here. Step back, sir. All eyes turned. In front of him stood an old man, his back slightly hunched, his steps slow but steady. His wrinkled hand clutched a worn leather bag, and on his chest gleamed a small, almost forgotten pin, the insignia of a decorated veteran. But to Harris, rules were rules. Unauthorized civilians were not allowed to board. The veteran paused. His eyes, clouded but still sharp with the weight of memory, met the young officer's gaze. He said nothing. He simply stood there, holding something in his silence that words could never carry. A few sailors nearby exchanged uneasy glances, but no one spoke. No one moved. The old man's quiet presence seemed to pull the heat from the air. His silence wasn't weakness. It was something heavier. His name was Raymond Cole. Once a naval engineer, now a man of quiet steps and heavier memories. 40 years ago, Raymond had built parts of this very ship. 40 years ago, he had stood on a similar deck, younger, faster, with hands that didn't tremble. He had survived the fire in the engine room when others didn't. He had pulled men from the flames, watched friends breathe their last, and walked away with burns etched beneath his uniform. For decades, he had returned to this port once a year to pay his respects. His son, his only child, had served on this ship and had never come home. The leather bag in his hand carried his son's folded flag, but the Navy had changed. The ship was under new command, security was tighter, and today, rules didn't bend for memories. Harris's jaw tightened. Step aside, sir. You don't have clearance. Raymond's lips parted, but no words came. Instead, he slowly lowered his gaze to the deck, his hand gently brushing the pin on his chest. A quiet refusal to move. The lieutenant's words had fallen on a man who didn't need to explain himself. The silence stretched. Passers-by quickened their pace, pretending not to notice. Some sailors watched, but none dared to speak. One young seaman shifted uncomfortably, recognizing the man. He had seen Raymond's name etched on the ship's dedication plaque. His fingers twitched at his side, but he said nothing. The chain of command was clear. Then, the click of polished shoes echoed down the dock. Admiral Preston, known for his sharp discipline but also his uncommon heart, approached with deliberate steps. His gaze swept the scene, pausing briefly on the rigid lieutenant, then settling on Raymond's bowed figure. Without hesitation, the admiral spoke, his voice steady, his words cutting through the weight of silence. Lieutenant, you just denied boarding to the man who kept this ship afloat long before you ever set foot on her. Harris's throat tightened. A flicker of realization passed across his face. The admiral continued, his tone firm but not unkind. Bring him aboard. Now, escort him to the bridge. Harris lowered his arm, his voice faltering. Yes, sir. Raymond looked up, his face unreadable, but his hand tightened slightly around the leather bag. Without speaking, he walked forward, his slow, steady steps parting the ranks of silent sailors. One by one, the sailors straightened. One by one, they saluted him, not out of order, but out of respect. Silent dignity needs no permission. The admiral's voice followed Raymond up the gangway, soft but unforgettable. Some ships are built with steel. Others, with the men who refuse to leave them behind. That line would echo in the minds of the crew long after the day had passed. On the bridge, Raymond placed his son's flag gently near the window, letting the sunlight rest upon it. For the first time in years, he allowed himself to breathe. His quiet return was not for ceremony. It was for remembrance. Sometimes, the strongest voices are the ones that never need to be raised. Sometimes, the deepest battles are fought in silence. Where are you watching from? Share your thoughts on this story in the comments. And if you believe in honoring those who stand quietly among us, subscribe for more stories that reveal the strength of silent heroes.